Shalom Akim. This is your brother Malcolm from Chicago GMS camp. I'd like to start by saying first and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles of GMS, and the elders that rule well. All right, the men of the government which the Lord has left here on earth to guide the flock, to teach the flock, to reach out to the elect. And salutations to the Akim, who are also part of that government. And, peace and salutations to the Akim that do this work on the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. All right. And salutations to the brothers and the sisters that are watching and learning, clinging back onto their heritage. All right. Okay, because as you can see, our lives and our freedom are on the line, especially when you see what just happened to that was the IGC or whatever, that wicked church that the Comfy was over, the Tazadak, the calling himself the God sent Comforter. The Comforter is these scriptures in Yahweh Shai, man. That's what your Comforter is, man. So that was a whole wicked thing anyway, But this is a response to the elders video out in New York. All the brothers here in Chicago, it was an order went out that we should do a video response to that about complacency. So I'm gonna do something short on that, but first I have to have a little confession to the Akim, and so I have to this much needs to come out before I go into the lesson, and it's all interconnected. All right, because I remember when I was like 13, 14, those couple summers before I started high school. Each summer, my mother would send my sister and I my younger sister and I, to go live with my father. And we would stay with him the whole summer. All right, and when you're a kid, a lot of things get by you. But as you get older, you begin to understand things. And the truth of the matter is, my mother was sending us away because she kept us away from our father. Okay? A lot. She did. And that summer those 2 summers that she sent us away, when I think back on the matter, those were the summers right before she met my stepfather. So she really was just trying to free herself up from us so she could spend time with my stepfather. I now know that. I didn't know that back then, man. The Spirit revealed that all to me, So anyway, and I also have experienced that sort of thing. It's funny how things repeat itself. Because anyway, the mother of my sons, my daughter, all right, did a very similar thing. She would, I was always trying to reach out to and be a part of their lives and do things with them. And she would always intervene and stop it until it would suit her when she wanted to do something. And then, I would be caught off guard and unprepared for them, but I would bend over backwards to get them anyway, do whatever I had to do. All right, but that was just the way of the world. But the majority of these Israelite women out here are wicked as hell. Matter of fact, most of the women on the face of the earth are wicked as hell, man. And I mean, it is what it is, man. But anyway, we've been in America for far too long as men. All right, as Israelite men. Okay, and I became very complacent in that life with my mother because there was really no discipline outside of doing my homework, and so that sort of thing, and doing my little chores that she would give me around the house. I pretty much, I was the only male child in my house, man. I had a freedom that my sisters didn't have. Okay? When I went to go stay with my father, a lot of those freedoms were taken away. All right? My father immediately put me to work. He gave me a job. He would, I would either have to go work in my aunt's grocery store, or I'd have to work with him on his ice cream truck. My father had an ice cream truck. All right? Then the next following summer, and I did have a lot of male cousins and female cousins, and we did have fun. But I had to put in that day of work, It didn't necessarily. I didn't like that. I just wanted to play and have fun with my cousins, man. Same way I did when I would be at home in Chicago. I didn't want to deal with, having to go to work and all that stuff. And I felt like it was forced on me. All right. That following summer, right before I started high school, it was the same deal again. And this time, I would work the ice cream truck. And my whole thing, we would go skating a lot. I used to get down. Skating was my thing back then. All right. So we would work all week, and and I and a bunch of my cousins, man, we would jump in my older cousin's truck, and we would all go down to the skating rink, and we would do our thing in the skating rink. That was fun, man. But that long work week was rough, man. And I had to I had a snowball stand. I had to sit out there at the snowball stand and work all day. And basically, my father was like, "You don't stop work till I stop work." So when he would come back from the day of work, then we would stop. So that's something called discipline, though, and didn't really know to appreciate what my father was doing for me at the time, man. Okay. So with that, let me read a couple definitions, then I'm gonna jump into these scriptures. And the first one is complacence. All right, and it says tranquil, and this is out of the Winston Simplified Dictionary, Encyclopedia Edition, 1933. All right. This book is not a book. This book is a weapon. But it says complacence. All right. The disposition to be pleased. Complacency. Oh, that was complacence. Now complacent. All right. It says intensive of oneself, desirous to please, showing satisfaction with oneself. All right. So becoming complacent in this truth can be detrimental to your spiritual growth, man, or even to your salvation. All right. Because I became complacent in this truth years back. And once again, the Lord has showed me, or the Lord punished me, man. All right. Why? Because, I got one more definition I want to read. Effeminate. Right? Because we get this effeminate vibe on us in America, man. And we're not the men that we used to be. And I'm talking about the toughest of the tough guys, We're not the men that we used to be, man, because there's a heavy woman vibration in America, and we're all under it, man. We grew up that way. We didn't grow up the way that we did. Oh, you'll often, and when you know me, you'll often hear me say that I'm not meant for this world. I'm not meant for this time, man. I have a spirit that's not meant for this time, because I really grasp onto what's written in these scriptures and desire to live my life by them. And it's difficult to do that in this society, man. All right, but this is the word effeminate. It says from the qualities or characteristics of a woman, delicate or unmanly. All right, nating to make womanish, to weaken, unman, to become weak or womanish. We become weak and womanish in this society, man, because this society has a heavy female vibe on it. Because most men, and it's even starting to happen to so-called white men, they're being raised by their mothers now, man, because the curses that are on us are falling upon them. All right. Years back when I was in this truth, I came up in the word, fairly quickly, because when I joined Chicago GMS, I was actually seeking to set up a camp myself. All right, but trying to go through all my so-called friends at the time, and just couldn't find anybody who was willing to stand with me. And then, watching on the internet all the time, I finally saw a video of the camp here in Chicago, they were downtown, and that's when I realized they were in Chicago. Because the first couple times I had actually seen them, I clicked right by them, because I was just normally just watching the elders, and I would watch the Man Up Jacob, back when the brother Element was what a part of him, and Yashawamba. I would watch them because I consider them brothers like elders, man, up under the elders, because I was learning a lot from them brothers back in the day, man. And I was watching the brother down in Florida, and I'm the brother who's a little sickly, and I'm Salakia, that I'm forgetting the brother's name, man. But You know, that brother was, I learned a lot from that brother too, man. We sent alms to the brother, you know, like every week, every other week, man, just trying to help the brother out. But anyway, watching these brothers, man, I'm coming up in the truth. And so by the time I joined the camp, man, I was very, you know, I wouldn't say I was like super knowledgeable or anything like that. But, you know, the truth of the matter is I had been doing it just as long as they were. I just wasn't on the highways and byways and doing it, man. I was just battling with everybody else, you know, solo. I just hadn't hit the street. So I came to the camp. You know, I already knew all the basic milk scriptures that you need to know. You know, to if you could prove that who the Israelites are, prove who the devil was, prove the name of the Father, you know, prove that there was no virgin birth, prove that the holidays that we do. Hey, if you're in that position now, you need to be out teaching, man, because that's all you really need, man. You don't need you don't need to go into to the reincarnation, you know, scriptures and all that other mess. You just need to be able to do it. But point being, man, is that I rose up through the ranks and became a main speaker pretty quickly, and have been for years, man. And I wasn't carrying my weight because there was more required of me, man. And other brothers had a burden on them, and it was, and I would just read, you know, hit the scriptures, you know, do the teaching, and then, you know, we would salute out, and I would be out, man. You know, I didn't. Don't get me wrong. I would give money and do things like that, try to support the church. You know, if a brother was in dire straits or something, you know, I would, you know, give them some money, or I would contribute to food whenever the camp would get together to eat. I had no problem driving brothers around who couldn't get around and didn't have jobs, didn't have money. There was some brothers who were struggling. We are in Babylon, and all the jobs are disappearing in America, so some brothers are not going to have jobs. All right. So I was a help in that way, but I wasn't helping with the structure the way I was supposed to be helping, man. You know, and then the Lord jacked me up, man. I lost half my clientele. I lost access to my own car. The Lord did that to me, man. All right? And all that money that I was getting, I stopped getting that money, man. And it's been a struggle ever since, man. And the Lord, because the Lord chastises them who he loves. And I'm about to read out of the book of Jonah to get to that point. So, you know, that's time to get into the scriptures. But as you see, that much needed to be said before I got to this, so you can see where I'm coming from, man. Because I've lived that chastisement, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I haven't drove in almost a year and a half, man, and it has been rough. It has been rough, man, and the finances has been low, man. Because I always, you know, one thing I did, at least I kept a pocket full of money, man. I would, you know, but anyway, that hasn't been the case. You know, it's been rough lately, man. All right, but here's the book of Jonah. This is Jonah 1. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to skim through it just to make points. For anyone who doesn't know the story of Jonah. But this is Jonah, the first chapter. And it says, Now the word of Yahweh came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for the wicked city has come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee to Tarshish, the presence of Yahweh, and went down to Joppa. And he found a ship going to Tarshish, and he paid the fare thereof, and went down to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of Yahweh. You can't get away from the presence of Yahweh, man. I mean, Jonah was being foolish, man. How you gonna escape the mightiest being there is, that's responsible for the creation of everything? Okay, how you gonna get over? I mean, but you know. I'm going to jump down to verse 10. And it says, And the men were exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, Why hast thou done this? For the men knew that he fled the presence of Yahweh, because he had told them. Jump into verse 15. So they took Jonah and cast him forth into the sea. And the sea ceased her raging, because the Lord brought up a storm while they were on it. And they were all afraid and thought they were going to die. And Jonah, you know, and his fear started admitting what he had done, and I guess he was so afraid he was going to die. Well, they decided to throw him off the damn ship, man. It's like, man, we done heard about, you know, that power that you serve, man. You gonna bring his wrath upon us? They threw his ass clean off the ship, man. All right. Said, then the men feared Yahweh exceedingly, and offered a sacrifice unto Yahweh, and made vows. All right. Now Yahweh had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. And if I'm not mistaken, that word there, when you go break it down, is actually whale. All right? It's not fish. All right? And then you had a couple clowns that tried to come against this. And the Lord was so cold with it, man. They I think it was a Hamite, some deep sea divers. A man actually lived in a pocket of air deep under the sea in a sunken ship for 3 days, just to prove that right, shut the scoffers up, man. All right, he lived in an air pocket, and that's exactly what happened with Jonah. Verse 5: the waters compassed about me, even to the soul. The depth closed around me. The weeds wrapped around my head. So he in the belly of this whale, man. Okay, all right. You know, possibly about to slowly get dissolved, man. Because, you know, there's levels to that. Because if he'd have left that area and went further, he'd have started getting, what do you call it, when you digest it. All right. So all the stuff in this thing is in. So he's sitting there, man. And I couldn't imagine. That's horrible, man. I'd be, you know, that's worse than death, man. It'd have been better to just have fell in the sea and drowned than to go through that. And he said, I went down to the bottoms of the mountains, and the earth, when her bars was about me forever. Yes, thou hast brought up my life from corruption. All right. My soul faded within me. I remembered Yahweh, and my prayer came unto thee, and into thine holy temple. They observed lying vanities for the sake of thy own mercy. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of Yahweh. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon dry land. So that fish was taking him all over the place, man. And he knew that that eventually he would be processed, that he would actually be digested, man. Okay? But Yahweh vomited him up. Let that great sea creature vomit him up onto dry land, man. All right? And he went on with the fear of the Lord in him to do this work, man. All right? So, you cannot be complacent in this thing, man. When the Lord gives you something to do, you must do it at all costs, man. All right? You could lose everything in this truth, man. Your woman, your friends, your family, your job. You know, there's brothers who have lost jobs. Everything I just said, there are people who are lost it for this truth, man. But there's a reward on the other side. And all those things that you lost, you're going to get back twofold. Matter of fact, you might even get that woman you lost back on the other side, but she's going to be shamefaced, man. You know? She's going to be shamefaced, and you will have the last laugh. Okay? But, you know, the Lord chastised them that he loved, man. So, and you know, and the Lord is cold like that, just like what he did Jonah, but he gave Jonah mercy, man, and Jonah went to do that work, man. And just because, you know, the Lord put you out in the cold, man, it don't mean that he may not give you a blanket. All right? And with that, I'm going to say shalom, you know, peace and salutations to the Akim, to the family out there that's doing this work, and to those that believe and follow. Shalom.